I just have my microphone right in front of my face. It's fine. It's just the position I'm doing everything in. Well, hello. It's been some time. I've been slowly putting out these She-Hulk videos, and now I'm recording this, as of recording this, when the first episode of Secret Invasion has already been out. So yes, I apologize I've been late. The excuses are boring, so I'm not going to get into it. However, we do plan on doing Secret Invasion content, but the intention is to do the normal podcast. I think Jordan and I, and also maybe Matt as well, might be in a fortunate position where with Secret Invasion out, we should be able to do a weekly sort of podcast or discussion, hopefully. I don't want to guarantee it because for all of us, it's very, like, we have to be together in a very specific, precise time. And if anything disrupts that, it's just like, we just can't make it work. So I think regardless, if we can't do a podcast for that episode, I might still do this sort of format that I'm doing with She-Hulk here, where I'm giving my thoughts, because I think it's important to go over things before seeing the new episode. Because as I've done throughout the She-Hulk series, from what I can remember, because it's just been on and off editing and uploading until up to this point, is that I have very different thoughts after each episode. I have very different theories. And I think Secret Invasion is going to be the same thing. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that because we've never really done that before for any of these episodic Marvel shows. Like we wanted to start with WandaVision. We didn't get SpongeBob off the ground until What If was starting. And so we tried doing that with What If, but we couldn't do it every week. We had to do it every every few weeks, so we were doing like a few episodes at a time. And I'll be honest, I don't know if we're going to do that again for season 2 of What If, but I'll see what everybody else says if they want to do it. She-Hulk was a weird show to start this idea with. I really wish I would have started it with, WandaVision for one, but Miss Marvel, because that was a show that I really liked and I had theories and everything for it, being a fan of the comic. She-Hulk, I barely know anything about, aside from like crossover stuff that I've seen her in the comics and just like tangentially know about the character. But and this is a comedy, so it's like there's not really much to think about. It's like every week there's a new court case drama or a new odd, quirky superhero, or not even a superhero, just like a character within the Marvel universe that we've never met before. That's like a D-list villain or something. So it's very odd. Now, obviously, I have seen this episode before. I think I've only watched it once, and that was when it happened. So that was when I was intending on doing this video. It's been several months since, so I probably forget some stuff. But I want to say initially had some feelings about it that it just mixed feelings, I guess. And I'm sure I'll get into it watching and reacting to the video. I'm trying to do this as quick as I can because I gotta work on something else right after this. So hopefully I don't go on a long rant in which I just uploaded a rant about my thoughts on Daredevil in the MCU. So that's its own separate video, as like a part 2 to the episode 8 reaction in case you didn't watch it. Watching and editing that back, knowing stuff that's happened now or that we know now after recording that video, is pretty funny. I mean, some things have changed, even in regards to the She-Hulk episode, because I was talking about what's going to happen to William Hurt's character from the MCU, Thunderbolt Ross. And now we know that he's going to be played by Harrison Ford in Captain America. What I said in that video was New World Order, but now it's Brave New World since recording that video. So yes, the title has changed. Anyway, I'm still holding out hope for a Red Hulk, but recently Harrison Ford, this might be a podcast topic by the way, Harrison Ford was asked about Red Hulk in an interview and he's like, "What's a Red Hulk?" And I think that was a genuine Harrison Ford answer. So, but I maybe just Marvel doesn't tell him what's going on or what's going to happen to his character. But I think that was the perfect casting choice. I look forward to seeing him in Captain America, as well as I believe he's confirmed for Thunderbolts. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the movie's called Thunderbolts, and I know that title has a different meaning in the comics, but he's been part of the Thunderbolts in the comics. I mean, it makes sense. His nickname is Thunderbolt. But anyway, I have some mixed feelings about She-Hulk. I want to get into it and discuss it, so let's watch the finale and we'll talk about some things and what I like or didn't like. And I'll try to keep my eye on the camera because I'm recording from my camera, not my webcam. And if something happens to my camera, I'm going to be really pissed. If something happens to my audio, I'm going to be pissed. So I'm going to keep like driver's tests. Look all the different mirrors, make sure everything's working this time so we don't have another episode 7 fiasco. All right, let's get into it here.
Then an accidental dose of gamma-radiated blood.
I love this intro, by the way. I forgot about this. Completely forgot. This is a play on the original Hulk show with Lou Ferrigno. I love that intro. That was one of the better Marvel intros. This I don't get. I don't get why. We'll talk about it, but why she's in this situation. I've mentioned it at the end of the last episode too.
We need to identify every individual who hacked my private information.
Yes.
They need to be prosecuted.
Hold on,
Yes.
forget them.
No.
We need to discuss your case.
That's what all the witnesses saw.
Oh my god. I hate this. Yeah, this is so stupid. Although eventually this gets resolved, but we'll discuss it.
It's all right. People go to prison every day.
People do go to prison every day. That is true. I can't believe she's losing her job over this. I can't believe she was in damage control. Like she's losing her place. Maybe. I don't know. Again, we'll discuss it. I don't know if that's the case or not.
No, just a sparkling water and a turkey sandwich and chips and guac. And yes, I want to see the rest of those baby pictures, Elaine. Thank you. Oh my god, I love Elaine.
Who's the best character on the show? Lion Day 1. What? I feel like I should be pausing this. Ultimately, I don't think any of that matters, though. Chicken Boy. What does Chicken Boy mean?
I have to see this. No. Out. Please, we have work to do.
Why would her mom have that video?
I blame her grandmother.
Huh?
I blame her grandmother. Man, I had one of those old style CD racks.
Hey, what you up to?
Oh, nothing much, just in space. Smug Hulk, I didn't notice that before. That's funny. I think these are names, I think some of those names are people who worked on the comics and stuff. I don't remember a lot of stuff that happened in this episode, I'm realizing. Bug is also great. Oh, but if there's a season 2, I hope these characters come back. Not so much this guy, because this guy felt like a waste of time. The Wrecker. Why are they BFFs now? I remember this part. I love this part.
And remember to always refer to women as females. Jen's life is on the
It's always been a pet peeve of mine. Just men referring to women as females, like instead of women.
Mother Pugger. Todd Phelps?
Todd? Oh wait, that tracks.
Oh wait, that
You're one of
tracks.
us. Yo, come here, man.
He rules, and he's hot.
Yeah, it's smashed. Is she recording it or is she just listening in? Oh, some of the wrecking crew is here. So the wrecker is the one that defected, and the rest of the wrecking crew is there. Is that how is that their connection to Emil during the speech? He has to know, like, yeah, the 3 of them are back there in the back row. Didn't notice that. Obama stay. Make your goal a reality. So weird, because it's such a different Abomination from the Incredible Hulk. They had like a deeper, gruffer voice, and now it's just his regular voice.
Was there a real apology in there somewhere that I missed?
So I was very wrong in my predictions, by the way, in previous episodes.
This is not gonna work, right? We're not actually doing this.
Unfortunately, yeah. There you go. Scrappy Dappy Doo.
And I've brought you here, puny, pathetic Mystery Inc. To witness my moment of triumph.
Her part of the show also seemed pointless. Like, she's supposed to be the main villain, and she's not. She was barely involved. Big men dream big. There we go. Yep. I was expecting this at some point in the show. We talked about this on the Maclunkey Squadron podcast. Listen to that podcast for my full thoughts. Or I guess my thoughts at that time. So the question was, does she do this in the comics? For people who aren't familiar with the character, yes, she does. This is something she does in the comics. So throughout this entire show, I was expecting something like this. I'm like, this is genuinely something that they could do with this character in the show based on her character in the comics. There's a possibility that they don't. I hope they don't. I don't really like it when they translate this to live action, but I was under the expectation for this. So they did it. I'm not really upset that they did it because I was expecting it, but I'm not a huge fan. There's a QR code, by the way.
What kind of stupid finale is this?
I don't think it's entirely a smart idea to make fun of how bad the episode intentionally is. That doesn't make it good. I kind of like this twist on Kevin Feige in the Marvel universe. So the way I picture this, I don't know what Marvel's intention is, but the way I picture this is the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse takes place within the writing of this real world universe, which exists within our as a result of our own universe. So it's like our universe created this universe that created the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. I feel like they put the most work into her CGI in the first and last episode, which makes sense. Also, the stuff that we're learning more recently about how Marvel and DC mistreats visual effects artists just to pump stuff out. And there's actually a joke about it in this scene, which is it is in very poor taste.
But you must first transform back to Jennifer.
Why?
You are very expensive.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
But wait until the camera is off you. The visual effects team has moved on to another project.
Okay.
There's the
There,
Black
do
Panther
it now.
tone.
And it produces near-perfect products.
Near perfect.
Some are better than others.
Don't tell Kevin
but
about
I leave
Phase
that debate
4.
up to the internet.
Well,
There's She-Hulk comics on a comic book rack across this whole area.
it's often said that Marvel movies all end the same way.
Wait, who's saying that?
Perhaps this is a result of following some. Well, can we not do Todd gets Hulk powers? Like the
That changes
powers
so
aren't the
much about
villain. He is.
what
Erasing
happened
blood
actually in the
clots.
show.
And
did
Bruce
it actually
swooping
happen?
down from literal outer space
That
to
I
save
can-
the day in my story.
Yeah, we can get rid of that.
But Bruce is supposed to return to explain what he was
No,
doing
no, no, no.
on
We don't
Sep-
need to hear any of that.
But we were going to introduce
Save it for the.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are pissed about that. I think that's
and
funny.
Abomination.
So that doesn't change him actually turning into Abomination.
A woman has needs.
Historically, we've been light in that department.
Oh, well, I've got you here.
That's,
Oh wait, you are sitting?
What's with all the daddy issues? Star-Lord, 2 daddies, 2 issues.
Jen, please stop.
Oh, and when are we getting the X-Men?
yeah.
I cannot tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay, back to She-Hulk.
You will not be able to access the KEVIN again.
What?
That error on our platform has been fixed.
I hope that means that she doesn't literally break the fourth wall. I want her to keep breaking the fourth wall, but not literally breaking the fourth wall.
What's the most budget-friendly way to do this?
So I just
There's so many things that don't make sense
OMG,
here
you
now.
guys, we are about
Why
to
is
witness
Titania
a
here,
murder.
first of all?
Now I'm ready to deal with you. This is amazing.
So what happened to Todd?
Just do it.
Why is he in trouble if he didn't take her blood? Because that's her whole thing. Like, can we not make the plot point him trying to take my blood? Oh, but he was still involved with... Wait, hold on. I have so many questions. And Daredevil's just a joke. I do like his... I don't know. How do people feel about his costume? Because I'm actually not too sure. Do people like it, hate it? I like it. So he turned into Abomination, and he feels bad about it now. I'm not upset about her breaking the fourth wall to change the story, because, again, I was expecting that. I'm just upset about how the whole season shouldn't have mattered at that point based on her directions, yet somehow did still matter. Yeah, I was expecting this too. As I'm watching this with my brother and sister-in-law, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah." Why does Hulk look great? Scar. I wasn't expecting that design choice for Scar, but I was expecting Scar ever since the first episode. See, this doesn't... Okay. So she did go to prison, and she got her job back. Yeah. I can't remember. Was there a post-credit scene? Let's see here. Oh, yeah. There's an important one here.
You got sucked into another show, didn't you?
We're really in an era of peak TV.
It could be a double
All your
meaning,
things.
but...
Yeah.
I can't remember. Did this happen after Doctor Strange or no? It did, right? All right. I got a new webcam, so I'm gonna switch things over to my webcam because I actually don't remember how much storage I have left on this SD card. So let's switch things over. Okay, I have mixed feelings about this finale. Overall, I did like the show She-Hulk, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. I've said this several times, it's low on my MCU tier list. But I don't consider that a bad thing because I like everything in the MCU. There's so much to compare it to, so I feel like there's no point. It's just you either like it or you didn't. It doesn't matter like where it is in a list or anything. Yeah, I just have some conflicting thoughts about it, and just watching it over, I kind of got some different ideas about the finale. Because I was under the impression, so the episode was going. She didn't really change much. She just changed the outcome of what happened. The actual events didn't seem to have changed. I thought she like completely rewrote history on the show, but it doesn't seem like that's entirely the case, or maybe it is. I'm still confused about it. The fact that she broke out into the Disney Plus menu and then wanted to change stuff about the story, I was expecting based on the character in the comics. So I know a lot of people are like, this is stupid, this is cheesy, and it doesn't fit with the rest of the Marvel universe. And I would say just wait for Deadpool. I mean, I think Deadpool's going to be a lot worse in terms of the fourth wall breaking manner. I'm not going to go into Daredevil at all. I think it's kind of a waste of time. I talked to death about Daredevil. I could probably update some thoughts on that previous video, but I'm not going to. I think I'm going to save it for the podcast when more news about Daredevil Born Again comes up. Yeah, this episode was so weird because it just makes you think. Like, I mean, if you're not thinking about it, you're just watching the show. It's like, okay, it's a fun little whatever, different kind of spin off of a superhero finale where it's like, hey, let's change things up. Let's be different. Let's make some, what I thought were actually some pretty good jokes. Like, characters not having any sort of romantic relationship in the MCU, and Kevin saying we've traditionally been light on that subject. Jen bringing up the daddy issues, and the wink at the X-Men. The visual effects remark I thought was so, like, it's kind of a funny joke if you think about it, but it's so tone deaf and like really disrespectful and poor taste, because at the time the show came out, which I guess Marvel might not have foreseen, but at the time that came out, there was stories about the treatment of the visual effects artists and people making remarks on how the visual effects in Phase 4 are so bad, like quote unquote, in comparison to what we've seen previously. And even now, recording this video, I've been seeing that kind of resurgence of that subject, mostly because some Marvel projects that come out, like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the new Flash movie, I guess, has some sort of visual effects that does not look good. And then at the same time, the new Avatar movie came out, and I guess from what I can see, although I don't really see much about that, I'm not really online much in general anymore compared to how I used to be. I literally go on and be like, what's the latest Marvel news I can post on our podcast? But from my assumption is everybody seems to like the visual effects in Avatar and kind of compares to what we are seeing in Marvel and DC. It's because Marvel and DC produces stuff much quicker. They're on a more of a time frame. There's a lot more crunch. It's very much like a video game kind of style where it's like you have to get this done. Like, we don't care that you're underpaid, we don't care that you're like you need to meet this deadline or whatever, it just needs to be done. Whereas James Cameron's like, let's just make a good movie and let's let the visual effects take as long as they need to take to look great. Marvel can't afford that, so they'd rather put out something that looks bad rather than something that takes longer, which doesn't make sense to me because they delay stuff all the time. What's the big deal but if you delay stuff even more? I don't know. It's just that they just don't want to pay people appropriately and try to squeeze as much money out of people, and that's Disney. That's a big corporation. But I mean, now we're talking about political, societal stuff, which I should probably pivot more towards the show. So in regards to the show, I thought that was a poor taste joke, and it's a really big slap in the face because at the time it's like, yeah, everybody's criticizing how She-Hulk looks because they need them to move on to the next thing, which is Black Panther. And then Marvel thought somehow that was a good joke to put in the show, and it looked so bad on Marvel and Disney to do that. I mean, to be fair, the writers put that in. So maybe, I don't know, like, I don't get the thought process on how that made its way onto the episode, but whatever. But like beyond that, it was kind of a funny joke. I did not notice the first time watching that the Wrecking Crew was in the Abomination speech. They were in the back row, except for the leader, the Wrecker. I'm hoping the Wrecker's the leader, and I haven't been saying this wrong this entire time. But the one guy who Jen met at the retreat when she drove up. So he's. It seems like the four of them went to attack She-Hulk in that one episode to try to take her blood, and then the one guy's like, you know what we did was wrong, I'm leaving the group. And then he went to the retreat, and then it seems like met Abomination, and then it seems like maybe there was some sort of connection there where he's like, hey, I know some guys who need like motivational speeches or whatever, and they happen to be working with Todd, and so maybe they are in some sort of good graces, although it seemed like he didn't really know that he was doing that private speech event when Jen asked him about it. He's like, yeah, he's doing some sort of thing in the cabin, I don't know what it is. So I don't know, it seems like a weird loose connection there that's not really explained. And I feel like the Wrecking Crew was just wasted. It's the same with Titania. The show was pitched as, you know, Titania is the big villain in this series. She was barely there for a few episodes and somehow thrown into the finale for no reason. She took a picture for her Instagram or something. I don't know. Why was she there? And the whole series revolved around people wanting her blood. Then she met with Kevin and said, hey, can we not make it about some guy taking my blood? So I thought that meant, oh, that whole storyline never existed. And the whole point of a lot of the plotline and everything that was going on in the show didn't happen. So how does that make sense for where she is right now? But looking at the episode now, it seems like, okay, so she said she didn't want the blood thing to be part of the story, but it somehow still is, because Todd was still arrested, and like he did the whole intelligentsia. Maybe they're saying like the whole intelligentsia thing was just for the discredit, like it's just for discrediting her and, you know, making her look bad at the gala and everything like that. And getting her blood was not part of it. But then that also doesn't explain the wrecking crew. It doesn't explain some other stuff. So I don't know. Okay, so he was arrested for the intelligentsia thing, because that's what She-Hulk is suing him for, and why he was arrested, maybe. But he was, I don't know. Did he take the blood? Did he inject himself with superpowers? Did that actually happen or no? I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll know if there's a season 2. What other things did she want to change? She wanted to change Abomination taking be held accountable for his actions. So not the fact that he became Abomination. He still became Abomination, but then he decided in the middle of the fight, hey, no, this is wrong. I'm gonna be Emil, and so and now he's going to jail, which he got broken out of and brought to Kamar-Taj, which I think this show takes place after Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but I'm not 100%, so I'm kind of wondering where Emil was during the attack on Kamar-Taj, because if this takes place after, sure, he's going to a very fucked up, destroyed Kamar-Taj, but I mean, the place looked fine at the end of that movie with America Chavez there and everything. So I guess they're rebuilding okay. Or he was there when Scarlet Witch attacked, so that's kind of interesting to think about. So it all depends on the timeline where this takes place. So that I don't really have a huge issue with. I guess that kind of makes sense. Bruce not being there, so she changed that. So Bruce wasn't there to fight Abomination. So he was holding Jen away from everybody. Just talking about everything here and how she's like, this doesn't make sense, what's going on, and yet it still happened. Like the whole point of her breaking fourth wall is like, hey, let's change things, and then things didn't ultimately change. The things that changed were maybe Todd didn't take her blood. I guess I'm not 100% sure, that's up in the air. And then the Hulk not being there is what ultimately changed. The Hulk wasn't there, and then Emil turned back down from Abomination. So he was holding her up, keeping her safe, and then at some point he's like, okay, I'm gonna be Emil, you're right, I feel bad for what I did, I'm going to jail. Right? Am I missing anything else? What about Titania? Is she... the other thing is that she wished, or her request was for Daredevil to make an appearance. So I guess Daredevil made an appearance. But somehow doing all of that changed things in regards to... she's set free now. She doesn't have the ankle thing. She can be She-Hulk. She has her job back. And her job, I guess, is, or maybe just Jen herself, is suing Todd, who is a big client of theirs, by the way. So it's weird how ultimately she met with Kevin to be like, okay, all this stuff is fine. Just Abomination goes to jail, get rid of the Hulk, and also I don't want to face any consequences. I want my old life back. So I really don't get the whole point of that. Nothing was ultimately changed, I guess, now that we're thinking about it. Overall, I don't know. I had mixed feelings about the finale, but I liked the show overall. There were some low points. There were also some really funny points. I wouldn't say like high points, but there's some good moments. Overall, I enjoyed the fact that there is a comedy, a Marvel comedy. I want to see more of these. There were some ideas to make more kind of shows like this. There was... I can't remember if Damage Control was going to be a project and it wasn't going to be, you know, the sort of like fascist regime that we see right now that's existing in the current MCU. I think maybe it's more supposed to be a comedy base, like they're like people who are working within the Marvel Cinematic Universe and just making comments about it and stuff like that. Although I might just be thinking about that show from DC that's literally the same thing. But there was also going to be a new Warrior show that was supposed to be, I think, more comedic based. That was starring the one actor, I can't remember what she's in. I think she was in some insurance commercials. Or no, was it a phone? I can't remember. It might have been like a cell phone carrier commercial or something. But she was going to be starring as Squirrel Girl. And when you have a show that stars Squirrel Girl, you can bet that it would be a comedy. There's been some like test like leak footage about that, so I'm sure Marvel is like exploring the ideas of making more genred stuff in the MCU. I mean, it's already so, you know, they're kind of dipping their toes into everything at this point. Secret Invasion is a much different kind of tone than Thor: Love and Thunder. So there's always room for something for these Marvel stories. Obviously, we got Werewolf by Night. That's very different for the MCU, and there's a lot of different monster and horror things from the pages of Marvel Comics. But yeah, I don't know what other thoughts I really had on this episode. I thought I had a lot more to talk about, but I think that ultimately comes down to it. Ultimately, do I want to see more She-Hulk? Yeah, why not? I didn't hate the character. I'm not gonna be like, if there's a second season, I'm not gonna watch it. I am gonna watch it, and I like the side characters too. I like Nikki. I like Pug. I didn't like some of the douchebags, and I do get the criticism. Was brought up on the Maclunkey Squadron podcast I was featured on, where you can hear more of my thoughts on She-Hulk if you want to do that, as well as just online chatter and stuff like that. I get like, I'm not really bothered by it. Just like most of the men featured on the show are just jerks and douchebags and stuff like that, and I kind of get the argument and feeling and everything for that. Doesn't bother me as much, but I did not like characters either, but I wasn't meant to like those characters. They're supposed to be, you know, they're not meant to be liked, which if you feel like that's like a personal attack on your gender, then I don't know what to tell you. And I do like the show is exploring more of the weird side of the MCU that we haven't discovered, because it's so weird that you would never see it in any other circumstances other than a weird comedy show that's based in the MCU, such as a guy who can't die called Mr. Immortal, who just uses that ability to keep marrying multiple people and starting different lives with multiple people, even though I didn't really like that storyline, how it was executed anyway. Or that there's a character named Manbull and Porcupine that exists within the MCU that we've never heard of because they're so D-list, nobody else would give a shit, and they wouldn't be featured in any other movie or TV show that we've seen other than this one. I want to see more of that. So yeah, I'm hoping for good stuff. Season 2. Don't have high expectations, but I don't know. This was kind of fun. I'm not going to be like jumping to watch She-Hulk over again. Like I said, this finale, I think it's the second time I'm watching it. The first time I've seen it live. Second time is this for this reaction. And the other shows, other episodes I think I've just watched multiple times. Well, actually for this, I haven't really been like rewatching this show, like compared to like WandaVision or some of the other ones. And I think like ultimately, if I'm doing like an MCU rewatch, or if I'm just like picking shows I want to watch from the MCU, I'm not jumping to rewatch this. Like maybe a recap. But I didn't hate it. I had a fun time watching it for the most part, except for that wedding episode. We don't need any more wedding episodes, please. And if they bring Titania back, I don't want them to bring Titania back, but if they do bring Titania back, please put her in a more prominent role that actually matters, and not just like a useless throwaway character that was somehow supposed to be this season's villain that she was barely in. Anyways, let me know what you thought about She-Hulk. Let me know what other things that you're looking forward to from Marvel. We got Secret Invasion right now. We got Daredevil Born Again on the way. We got Echo that's going to have its own, I think later this year, its own like full season drop. That there's some discussion as to why they're doing that. I don't know. And then pretty much everything else is just not happening because of the writer's strike. So that's what we have to look forward to. I think Marvel's gonna maybe spread some stuff out to fill in the gaps and times in between the stuff that's on hold because of the writer's strike, which might be a good thing. Maybe, you know, animation has more time to work on things, make things look better. I don't know. Go check out Hit Pod's MCU, our Marvel Cinematic Multiverse podcast. We're not just talking about this stuff, but also the Sony Marvel Universe as well, and whatever else we feel like. I need to get ready for another thing that I gotta do, so see you next one.